Welcome. This video is on transition defense. We're going to look primarily at two players who are the two most important players in a transition situation. That is, a player who gets back and protects the basket and the player who slows down the advancement of the ball. These are usually the two deepest players on the court when a team goes out of possession of the ball. And you'll see some examples of that, firstly through a chalkboard and then some game footage. Remember, the priorities are get back and protect the basket and slow down the ball. Here in this diagram here, if the red team shot it, number 8 and number 5 would be the two that get back and have the responsibilities. 8 would protect the basket, 5 would slow down the ball. The situation here, 7 and 5 would be the guys. In this next situation, 5 and 8 would be the players. And in the next situation, we have a stolen ball situation where number 6 steals it, so number 8 and number 5 would have the high priority of getting back as quickly as possible. Number 5. In this first example here, you can see when the ball is shot, the two circled players stand there and watch, whereas they should be moving to the foul line and back area ready to defend the ball in case there's a change of possession. You can see instead we end up with one of the bigger players staying on the ball, and he just decides to run away and leave it, which is not the ideal situation. In this next example, again, you'll see when the ball is shot, players are just standing there and watching. They need to assume it's going to miss, and these two guys here should be sorting out who's going to get back and protect the basket and who's going to go up and guard the ball. You can see it takes them a long time to get the ball inbounded, so it wasn't such a desperate situation that time, but had that shot missed, then more pressure would have been put on their defense. In this situation here, you see a quick changeover of possession. Perhaps the player on the bottom of the screen could have used a foul here to stop the fast break situation. The guy at the top of the screen chases the ball down. Fortunately, he misses anyway, and we can see the other two offensive players coming down now should be thinking about getting back on defense in that change of possession. As you can see that their failure to think about transition defense ends up in a layup and the other way around. You see the guy here circled is thinking about getting back on defense. He's heading back. He's the deepest player, has good vision over the whole length of the floor. You see in this pass up the floor, he's able to come up and pick off the pass. Now we have the 5 players all matched up on defense. On this shot here, again, we have 3 players across the foul line now, where we need to get some communication, where perhaps one can get in and rebound. 2 need to sort out who we're going to get back and get in position to stop the ball and protect the basket. All 4 of the players stay in the area, no one gets back. The guy on the ball here does a poor job of allowing the ball handler to come back in towards the middle of the floor, and this creates more passing opportunities for him, and he's about to shoot it, so the 2 circled white guys need to start thinking about getting back on defense. Instead, they stand there watching, so if there's a quick change of possession, they're going to be in a poor position to do anything about it defensively. As you can see, this guy here comes blasting out with the ball. No one stops the ball until it gets to the foul line extended there. Fortunately, the offense made a mistake which let the defense off the hook that time. See on a score, there's plenty of time to match up. It's usually the quick changes of possessions on missed shots and turnovers the problem occurs. And here again, a shot, we have everybody basically below the foul line here, so there needs to be communication amongst the players about who's thinking about getting back. The guy in green should probably should have gone in and tried to rebound the ball that time. But the white team don't push it up, so the blue team get a pretty good opportunity to match up defensively. Here again, the ball's being shot. These 2 guys at the foul line area need to think about who's covering the basket, who's going to stop the ball. Instead, they both stand there and watch. Again, fortunately, the shot went in, but had it been a missed shot and the defense got it, it would have been very difficult for them to stop a fast break opportunity, which they end up getting anyway. Here you can see this guy circled. He's the 5th player, the furthest player back towards the basket, so he should start thinking about getting back and protecting the basket, which I think he has done at this point. but he gambles and comes up and try and pick off the ball. You'll see him come into the frame here, and now there is no one back protecting the basket. Perhaps the player on the other side of the floor who's circled here should have seen that unfolding and started heading back to protect the basket, but instead we're left with no one protecting the basket, and so the white team end up with a pretty easy layup. See, the defender here goes up to try and meet the ball way too early and makes a pretty ordinary effort to slow the ball down, and so you end up with two guys behind the ball now, and the rest are playing 4-on-3, and a more organised offensive group will cause them problems. And in fact, they end up with a layup anyway, but miss it. Here again, the shot's taken. These two guys should be thinking about getting back on defence now. One to the foul line, one to back protect the basket. From that foul line area, the guy can identify who's got the ball and try and slow it down. Instead, there's no real defensive resistance until they get to about the centre line here. Again, 3 players across the foul line when the ball is shot. There needs to be communication amongst these 3 players about who is going to get back and protect the basket, who is going to meet the ball, and whether a third player can get to the glass. We can see again the defensive team get a quick rebound, blast through all 3 for a layup. A little bit of preparation by the defense could have helped prevent that occurring. You see the blue team get back and sufficiently match up. Again, shot is taken. 3 guys on the glass. The 2 guys deepest back should think about getting back. One to protect the basket, one to slow the ball down. See, neither do. The ball comes flying out of there. Another player comes over to stop the ball, makes a good play on the ball, but that was dangerous. Here we see this guy here. You can see there's 3 other whites in the frame. So there must be one white back protecting the basket. He really needs to try and slow the ball down now. That means not taking a crazy dive at the ball, but trying to slow the ball handler down. You can see there's another player back protecting the basket, and said no one stops the ball, so the ball advances all the way down. They end up with an easy shot. Now that team needs to think about getting back on defense. You can see 2 players are standing there watching. So you've basically got 5 players in the blue team inside the key. A quick play by the white team, and you see this guy running out of here quickly, ends up in a pretty easy basket going back the other way. Whereas a little bit of preparation by the blue team as they saw the ball going through could have helped prevent a real high percentage shot, which is a layup. That white guy just ran down the floor quicker than everybody else. Here again we see the ball being met early, but a pretty ordinary attempt on defending the ball, where it can come back towards the middle of the floor now, and from the middle of the floor that ball handler has plenty of passing options, and the blue team again end up with a pretty easy shot. You can see the 2 guys here who should be sorting out who's slowing down the ball, who's protecting the basket. Again, communication is the key for these guys to make sure these roles get performed. See, this guy here should be looking back to see who's protecting the basket. He's watching the ball though. No one's back protecting the basket, so again they end up with a pretty high percentage shot. Whereas that could easily have been made harder by thinking about whether someone was protecting the basket or not. Again, shot goes up. Blue team need to match up quickly. You see they've all pretty well got their players here now. A switch right there by that guy. Pressure on the ball. Someone else got player back protecting the basket. Not a bad job by the blue team there to match up and take away any high percentage scoring opportunities. So a turnover by the white team. This guy furthest from the ball should have seen that unfolding and started heading back straight away. You can see there's 3 guys up around the ball, so there's 1 player back. And now that player who was back comes up to the foul line, so now we've got 5 whites in the frame, no one back protecting the basket, and that could create an easy scoring opportunity for the blue team. Again, high percentage shot as a result. blue team's pretty good job of matching up here. They're back to a 5-on-5 situation, which takes away the chance for a high percentage shot. Turnover, again, see two players here. They should need to see that turnover occurring and be sprinting back, one to protect the basket, one to slow down the ball, as there are three whites essentially behind the ball now. Again, a good job by the blue group matching up fairly quickly. Again, another shot by the white team. The players aren't thinking about getting back on defence, protecting the basket. Again, a little bit of communication between these two players here would help ensure that the blue team are going to be forced to take a high percentage shot. A low percentage shot, I mean. Here we have 5 blue players below the foul line when the ball is shot, which is a formula for disaster. So as that shot goes up, again, now we have 2 players a little bit deeper. While that ball is in the air, the defensive team need to sort out who is going to get back and protect the basket, who's going to slow down the ball. He makes a good play there to pick off that pass, but again, it was a formula for disaster. And again, white team don't match up quickly, so the blues get a layup. Again, these 2 blue guys now, as the ball goes through the basket, need to think about getting back and covering the basket and getting ready to meet the ball as early as possible. As a result, no one matches up. They inbounded it and up with a layup at the other end, even though he made a good defensive play to stop that. Again, quick shot, 3 white guys standing at the foul line. Somebody should already have identified they've got back and got the basket. This guy goes to meet the ball. He should be pushing him towards the outside. Instead, allows him to come back towards the middle. He makes another pass down the middle, which ends up with a layup down the other end. So meeting the ball early and trying to slow it down, as opposed to making a mad dive at it and letting the ball handler get past him. Again, poor, good pick-up point here, but you'll see pretty poor effort at keeping the ball in front of him. As soon as this guy goes at him, he blows by him, and now the rest of the team are playing 5-on-4. White shoot it. These 2 guys need to be thinking about getting back. One guy back to the basket, one guy ready to meet the ball. He was standing in the corner there, and now effectively could have ended up in a 5-on-3 situation. You see this guy on defense now. He's coming back and slow behind the play. He doesn't really identify who he's guarding. Thinks he's guarding that guy, but then there's lack of communication between the defensive team on who they're guarding. Communication is key. Players need to talk to each other and sort out who their matchups are. Again, 2 guys back there already in good position to get back and cover the basket and meet the ball. But again, I think we'll see poor decisions made that end up in a high percentage shot. So that guy who's furthest back comes up to play the ball, which is crazy. Ball's thrown straight over his head for an easier layup down the other end. Whereas simply getting back and protecting the basket would have taken away that easy high percentage layup opportunity. Here we can see 4 blue guys all across the same level of the floor. Usually this will end in disaster. You can see there's a player down there with no one being guarded. Again, communication, getting back, protecting the basket, tagging the ball, all things that lead to the offensive team having to do a little bit more work to score rather than just passing the ball down the floor. Again, here we'll see ball allowed to come back to the middle. Very poor effort by the defender to catch up, and which leaves the other guys outnumbered defensively, and usually a high percentage shot will occur as a result of that. You see the big guy here circled on an offensive rebound. He has no idea who he's guarding. You can see him wandering around in the middle of the key there, lost, not too sure who he's guarding. Again, communication, calling out the player he's guarding would lead to a better percentage shot, and then again ends up making a defensive rebound. This is a great job of meeting the ball, keeping the ball in front of him and pushing it to a sideline. He does a good job here, slowing the ball down, keeping between him and the basket, and that makes it much harder for the blue team to get a high percentage shot. Here again is another poor decision by the defense where he's jogging there, still jogging, whereas earlier he needed to get in a position to help meet the ball or get back and protect the basket. Good job here by the blue team matching up. Ball shot from the corner. Again, one guy should be getting ready to meet the ball, one guy going back. They always need to assume those shots are going to miss. No one stops the ball. It takes 3 or 4 bounces. No one protects the basket. They end up with a layup, whereas simply getting to the right spots of the floor would have made that much harder on the blue team. Again, the blue team do a good job of getting back and matching up as quickly as possible. You can see a turnover here, 3 whites. Need to see the ball's being deflected and start sprinting back. You watch the 2 guys are furthest from the ball, they're in a jog, and virtually stay in a jog the whole way, whereas the blue players are streaming down the floor quickly. So that quick transition, recognising their team has lost the ball and making a good effort to get back and match up. Again, it's all about taking away high percentage shooting opportunities for that other team. Again, the blue team pretty good job, though you can see the big guy here, ball coming at him, he needs to hedge at that, slow it down, but instead allows his man just to go straight past him, again, which could have ended in a disaster. He needs to try and keep that player going towards the sideline.